All right, you magnificent bastards. Let's cut the crap and dive into something I never thought I'd give a shit about, plums.
Plums.
Yeah, plums.
Mm.
Turns out these purple fuckers have a history wilder than a prison riot,
Oh, yeah.
and we're about to get knee-deep in it.
That's right.
So
We're
we've
not.
got a stack of research here, notes thicker than a stripper's makeup,
Yeah.
ready to blow your mind with plum facts. We're going to uncover the origins of these juicy bastards, their crazy varieties, and even their dark side. Get ready, because this deep dive is about to get juicy.
Juicy indeed. So first things first, let's rewind the clock. Plums were one of the OG domesticated fruits, right up there with grapes, olives, and figs. We're talking Neolithic times here.
Wow.
Which means our ancestors were getting their plum fix way before they figured out how to write or build a decent toilet.
So basically, while they were still shitting in the woods, they were already munching on plums.
Yeah?
That's kind of poetic when you think about it.
Yeah.
But where the hell did these things even come from?
Hold on to your hats, because this is where it gets interesting. Plums hail from two badass regions, the mountains of Eastern Europe and the Caucasus.
Okay.
And also China.
Wow.
Talk about diverse origins, and that explains why plums are such versatile little fuckers. Different climates, different plums.
Makes sense. Like a plum that can handle a harsh-ass mountain climate is going to be a different beast than one chilling in a lush valley.
Yeah.
But the word plum itself always sounded kind of lame to me, like something your grandma would say.
Well, the word plum has a wild-ass etymology bouncing around from Old English to Germanic Latin and even ancient Greek.
Ah,
Before all that, it probably came from some lost language in Asia Minor.
damn. That's a hell of a journey for a little word. From some forgotten corner of the world to my fruit bowl.
I know, right?
But speaking of journeys, how did plum also become slang for something awesome? Like, that's a plum job you got there.
That's actually a fascinating linguistic twist. It likely evolved from the little bits of plum goodness you find in desserts. You know, those plum parts of a pudding or a cake.
Right.
Back in the day, those were considered the best parts, the most desirable. So plum became associated with something choice, something desirable.
So basically, plums were so damn delicious that the word itself became a compliment.
That's kind of poetic, too.
It is.
Yeah.
And speaking of delicious, let's talk about the sheer variety of plums out there.
Yeah.
You've got your Japanese plums, the superstars of the supermarket, big, juicy, with a long shelf life.
Right.
Then you've got your European plums holding it down in local markets, damsons, green gages, mirabelles.
Hold up, slow down a sec. We're going to get to all those juicy details in a minute.
Sure.
But first, we got to address the elephant in the room, booze. Because, let's be real, plums are fucking fantastic when it comes to getting hammered.
Oh, you're not wrong. The marriage of plums and booze is a glorious one. You've
Yeah.
got plum wine, which is delightful.
Yeah.
Then there's plum jerkum, kind of like cider, but way more badass.
Right.
And of course, we can't forget Slivovitz.
Slivovitz, that Balkan plum brandy, is the shit. It'll put hair on your chest and knock you on your ass at the same time. Absolutely. And speaking of plum-obsessed cultures, let's give a shout out to Hungary. Those guys take their plums seriously. They make lekvar, which is this thick plum paste jam that's seriously addictive.
Oh, wow.
Palinka, a traditional fruit brandy, and even plum dumplings.
Plum dumplings. Now, that's something I got to try. But wait a minute. We can't forget about the dark side of plums, right?
Oh, right.
You mentioned something about a dark side earlier.
Well, this is where things get a little bit sinister. Ready for this? Plum kernels contain cyanide.
Cyanide. What the fuck? Are we talking like a sprinkle of poison, or are we all going to die from eating a plum?
Relax, you're not going to drop dead from eating a plum. But yeah, it's true. Those hard pits you usually spit out. Inside there's a kernel, and that kernel contains amygdalin, which breaks down into cyanide when it hits your gut.
So every time I eat a plum, I'm basically playing Russian roulette with a tiny cyanide bomb. That's some badass shit.
It's more of a natural defense mechanism for the plant, really. It's not designed to kill humans, but to deter animals from chomping down on the seeds and spreading them too far and wide.
So the plum tree is like, hey, enjoy the fruit, you fleshy apes,
See?
but fuck with my seeds and you're getting a dose of poison.
Pretty much.
I respect that. But hold on, if the seeds are poisonous, what about the wood? Can we even use plum wood for anything?
Actually, plumwood is pretty damn impressive. It's beautiful, durable stuff used for everything from musical instruments to knife handles and fancy inlays.
So these trees are like the Swiss Army knives of the plant world, huh? They give you delicious fruit, poisonous seeds, and badass wood. What can't they do?
Well, they can't talk. But other than that, they're pretty versatile.
All right, that's it for part one of our Plumtastic deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground already. The ancient origins, the wild varieties, the booze connection, and even the cyanide surprise. We'll be back in a flash to delve even deeper into the fucked up history and global domination of these juicy bastards. So grab another beer, settle in, and get ready for round two.
Cheers to that. All right, welcome back, you drunken degenerates. Last we left off, we are marveling at the fact that plum trees are basically little cyanide factories churning out delicious fruit with a side of poison. But let's not get bogged down in the dark stuff just yet.
Yeah, let's get back to the good stuff. We're talking about the different types of plums and how there's a whole damn universe of these juicy bastards out there.
Exactly. Remember we talked about the two main lineages, European plums and Japanese plums.
Yeah, the supermarket superstars versus the local heroes. But how did we get from ancient plums to the ones we see in the store today? It's not like they just magically appeared on the shelves, right?
Hell no. This is a story of hybridization, migration, and humans messing with nature to get the juiciest, biggest, and most badass plums possible.
Uh-huh.
Those Japanese plums you see dominating supermarkets, they're actually a relatively recent phenomenon.
Wait, seriously? I thought those things have been around forever.
Not quite. The plums we see today are mostly the result of breeding programs that went down in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. They're basically hybrids, a mishmash of different plum DNA, primarily from Prunus salicina, a species native to China.
So those plump, juicy supermarket plums are like the Frankenstein monsters of the fruit world. That's kind of fucked up, but also pretty cool.
It's all about getting the best traits from different varieties and combining them into a super plum, and it's been incredibly successful. These hybrids have led to larger, juicier, more flavorful plums with longer shelf lives, perfect for global trade and supermarket domination.
Capitalism at its finest, am I right?
No.
But what about those European plums? They haven't been completely wiped out by the supermarket. Franken plums, have they?
Not at all. They're still holding their own in local markets and specialty stores, and they've got a rich history that goes back centuries. Think about those classic English plum varieties. Victoria plums, damsons, greengages. These plums have been cultivated for generations, passed down through families of farmers and gardeners.
So they're like the heirloom tomatoes of the plum world.
Yeah.
The OG plums with a story to tell.
Exactly. And they offer a unique flavor profile, often more complex and nuanced than the supermarket hybrids. They might not be as big or as flashy, but they've got character.
I can appreciate that I like a plum with a bit of character. Something that doesn't taste like it was engineered in a lab. But speaking of character, let's talk about some of the crazy shit people do with plums around the world. We've covered the booze angle, but surely there's more to it than just getting hammered on plum brandy.
Oh, there's a whole lot more. Plums are incredibly versatile. They can be used in sweet and savory dishes, jams, jellies, sauces, you name it. In some cultures, pickled plums are a delicacy.
Pickled plums. That sounds kind of funky, but I'm down to try anything once.
Think about Japanese umeboshi, those little pickled plums they use in rice balls and other dishes.
Yeah.
They've got this sour, salty, and slightly sweet flavor that's seriously addictive. And they're packed with probiotics, so they're actually good for your gut.
So pickled plums are like the healthy version of a hangover cure. You learn something new every day.
That's what we're here for, to expand your plum horizons.
Right on. All right, let's circle back to that cyanide thing for a second. I'm still a little freaked out about the whole poison seed situation. Is there any way to know which plums are safe to eat seed and all?
Well, here's the deal. Eating a few plum kernels isn't going to kill you.
Okay.
But it's not exactly a healthy snack, and it's definitely not something you want to make a habit of. Especially if you're pregnant or have kids, keep those little ones away from the plum pits.
Got it. No plum seed eating contest for the kids.
Yeah.
But what about the fruit itself? Are some types of plums more likely to have cyanide than others?
Honestly, it's hard to say. The levels of amygdalin, the compound that breaks down into cyanide, can vary depending on the plum variety, the growing conditions, and even how ripe the fruit is. It's not an exact science.
So it's like a plum lottery. You never know what you're going to get.
Pretty much. But remember, we're talking about very small amounts of cyanide here.
Right.
You'd have to eat a mountain of plums to have any serious problems.
Right.
So enjoy your plums, but maybe don't go chomping down on the seeds unless you're feeling adventurous.
Okay.
And if you start seeing visions or foaming at the mouth, call a doctor.
Sound advice. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this plumtastic journey, from ancient origins to supermarket, Franken plums, cyanide surprises, to pickled delicacies. We've explored the world of plums in all its glory. But before we wrap things up, we've got one final mind-blowing plum facts to leave you with. Stick around, you won't want to miss this.
All right, motherfuckers, we're back for the final round of our plumtastic deep dive, and we've saved the best shit for last.
You're right. This is where things get really mind-blowing. Remember all that talk about cyanide and plum pits?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out plum trees are basically nature's little cyanide factories.
Like, what? Explain that shit. You're telling me these innocent-looking trees are pumping out poison?
Think about it. They've got this built-in defense mechanism, this toxic compound in their seeds to protect themselves. It's a way to deter animals from eating the seeds and spreading them too widely.
So the plum tree is basically saying, hey, enjoy my delicious fruit, you hungry bastards, but
Yeah.
fuck with my seeds and you're getting a dose of poison. That's some hardcore survival tactics. Exactly. But here's where it gets truly wild. Despite this toxic defense mechanism, they also produce this incredibly delicious, nutritious fruit that we humans have been cultivating and enjoying for thousands of years.
It's like this weird, fucked up balance, right?
Yeah.
Danger and sweetness all rolled into one little package.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of my ex-girlfriend, actually.
That's an interesting analogy, but you're right. It's this delicate balance that makes plums so fascinating. And, it's kind of a metaphor for life itself, isn't it? There's always a bit of sweetness mixed with a little bit of danger.
Deep thoughts, man. Deep thoughts. But hey, that's what the deep dive is all about. Taking a seemingly ordinary thing like a plum and uncovering all its hidden complexities and weird-ass secrets.
And hopefully inspiring you to go out there and explore the world of plums for yourselves. Try a new variety, make some plum cocktails, bake a plum tart, whatever the hell you want. Just appreciate the sheer badassery of this ancient fruit.
That's right, folks. Go forth and get your plum on. And remember, there's always more to learn, more to explore, more to taste. Until next time, stay curious, stay thirsty, and stay plum-tastic.
Yeah.